Oh, so cute.
Yeah.
What's her name?
So her adopted name is World. She's from Korea.
Nice.
But we're calling her Lily.
Okay.
I love that. That's really cute.
All right, we're just at 2. So as I said, we'll give it one more minute for people to join. I suspect there'll be some people that are running from one meeting to the other, hopefully inserting a bio break or grabbing something to eat before we settle in for today's BSO Lead Education. Just while we're waiting for people to come, hopefully everybody received the invitation for September the 29th from 1 to 4 p.m. This is going to be our annual BSO potluck. So it occurs usually on our second floor of Baycrest. I'll send out more details at that time, followed by a more kind of intimate, I would say, event with the BSO leads, PRCs, and some of the BSOT team to get to know each other a little bit more, talk about some system programs that are system problems rather that you're trying to resolve and what's happening in your long-term care home, but really an opportunity to bring you guys together in a more intimate kind of setting. So hopefully you guys can come to that and hopefully receive the invite. I'm going to pass things over to Lenny, who is one of our psychogeriatric resource consultants, who today will be speaking about clue, or I'm going to say it wrong. Is it clues, causes, clues? And I initially put NCARA on the invite. That was a typo, so it was supposed to be NCARE. But this is a BSO toolkit or BSO brain exchange PCO initiative and a great resource. So Lenny, enough of my rambling. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you. I do think clues, causes, and care has a bit of a ring to it, but it's the clues, causes, and care to consider. So thank you. I will just get sharing here in just a second here. We did test everything, so we know it does load up, but everything works. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I think we should be in presentation mode. You should be seeing my screen at this point. So I'm not hearing otherwise, so I think we're good to go. So thank you. Thank you. I was actually looking forward to providing this education today. So this is the clues call.
Uh-oh, you're getting choppy on my end anyway. Yeah, I've seen Ben shake his head. Lenny, we lost you. Insert some elevator music while we sort that out. At least Ben, you're moving on my end, so I'm not frozen, right?
Yeah,
No,
no,
I
I
can
think
hear
you're
you.
fine, Kara.
Okay. Oh, we lost Lenny altogether, so we'll give her a moment. I wish I had elevator music readily available. There you are again.
I don't know what happened there. I'm so sorry. It looked like the meeting was just closed. So never happened to me before. I apologize. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Take 2. All right, here we go. Okay, as I was saying, we're going to be looking at the clues, causes, and cares to consider for responsive behaviors. This is an overview, and I highly encourage you to follow along with me. If you haven't already, we're going to be doing a little bit on really kind of navigating this tool, registering for this tool, and so on. So the only thing I ask is if you can kindly follow along with me, and that way, when you leave here today, you will have a couple of extra things acquired, including this tool itself. So just what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be looking at what is this tool, talking a little bit about navigating the tool itself, what is in the tool, application of the tool, a small activity, and then we will finish off with some questions in case you do happen to have any. But again, if you are able to, I would just recommend that as we're going along now, especially for this portion, if you can kindly open a new window on your computers or on whatever device you have, and perhaps just follow me for this section. Because if you have not downloaded the tool and you don't have a copy of it, by the end of this education, you're going to have some difficulty with the activity. So if not anything else, let's take this opportunity to actually get the tool together, download it together. It'll cost you nothing. And if anything else, it'll be an additional resource all to have. So starting off strong, we're going to visit brainexchange.ca. Once we are there, we should be on this landing page. So we're looking for the brainexchange.ca landing page. Once we are there, we're going to locate Behavioral Supports Ontario. Give it a click. It'll take us to the next landing page. I'm trying to go slowly, but at the same time, please do follow the prompts so that we can get this document downloaded before we start the education. Once here, welcome to the Behavioral Supports Ontario landing page. You're probably very familiar with this page. Lots of really great resources in this page, but more specifically, we are going to click on clinical tools and resources. Under this subcategory, you will find many, many different things, but for the purposes of our education today, we are looking very specifically for BSO clues, causes, and care to consider. Go ahead and give that a click again. And at this point, you should now be in the landing page for the clues, causes, and care to consider for responsive behaviors. I'll give you all a second to do that and just to navigate there. Once you are here, you will have opened up now the portal for all the different resources included in this sub category of the website. So just to point those out for you, you have the actual downloadable clues, clues, causes, and care to consider. That's what I would like you all to download for today. But there's also the one pager that you might be interested in. And in the event that you're interested in having this professionally printed and you are going to be distributing it or whatever the case might be in your home and you want a professional copy of it, you also have the professional printing file. We're not going to worry so much about these two for right now. For right this second, we're going to focus our attention to the very first one, which is the downloadable PDF file. This is the landing page once you click on that. And what you'll see here is that it'll prompt you to download the actual file. This is going to take you all just a couple seconds, and all it's going to ask for is some simple information. There's no cost to it. It's more so just a collection of information of who essentially is going to be downloading it. So I'll give you all a second, just plug in the information that it's asking for. Unlike the BSO toolkit, there's no wait time. You're simply going to plug your information in, and it's going to release the file immediately. So I will give you all just a second. I'll come off sharing for just a moment so I can see you all and see that everything is okay and that make sure there's no questions. Okay, if you're driving, please be safe. Don't do anything while you're driving. I see that now, so don't worry. But for everybody else that can and does have access to it, please just take a second now and go ahead, download the file, have it at your side, because we are going to be using it. And in all honesty, it's not just for the purposes of today. It's going to be a handy dandy tool for you outside of our education session today and in the future. So it's kind of hard to tell. Okay, so I see some hearts, and I see some responses. So I'm starting to get the idea that perhaps you have progressed farther enough now that you have downloaded the file. I see some of you nodding, so I think that was enough time. Is there anyone that does require a little bit more time, or shall we move on? Okay, so let me show you one more time where you are going to find the download for this. So once you have proceeded where it says required information, at that point, once you've plugged it in and submitted it, it's going to create a new page. I don't have it here because at that point, it's just a download. And you're just going to click that line. It should be just the line where it says download here, and you're going to download it. I do see a question. Yes, go ahead. Lena? Lena, do you have a
Hi,
question?
actually, I sign in later, and I'm not sure how to download. It just doesn't give me that option. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Is anyone else having a similar problem where they're not able to download it? I can show you what it's supposed to look like once you do, but at this point in the process, usually once you give it the required information, your email address and your information, it should populate a window, and at that point it should be downloadable. Is there many people that are running into this snag? If not, Helena, I can take some time after. Maybe we can share screens and we can look at it together. But generally
Okay.
speaking, yeah, we can take some time together. I don't mind doing that at the end, okay?
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. I'm not too sure what the snag is there. So let's continue. Am I frozen or anything right now? Y'all can still hear me?
You're good.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, I got a little notification, but I suppose it's an older one. Okay, for those of you that were able to download the tool, and again, if you're having some difficulty, stay back at the end with me a couple minutes and I'll get you all see what the problem is, try to troubleshoot it with you. But once you have downloaded and do have a copy of the tool, you will open up to this page. This is the table of contents of the page. Here is where you're going to find everything that you need in order to navigate this tool. So on the left-hand side, very simple, you have the numbers of the page, of course. Then you have which responsive behavior kind of major category that is highlighted, either vocal expression, motor expression, sexual expression, verbal expressions, physical expressions. You will see all those different categorized that way. And then finally, you're going to see examples of what the responsive behaviors might be. So for example, look under physical, things like biting or scratching, things like that. And finally, we do have another category for expressions during personal care, and specifically, what are some of those supporting strategies that we can use. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because the table of contents really is where you're going to very quickly decide what you're going to be looking for. And let's pretend you're not entirely sure, oh, is this a vocal expression or verbal expression, or is it this or it's that? You can also just use the nature of what you're seeing. So for example, oh, well, we're dealing with insults, for example, and navigate to where you see insults pop up. Or maybe you do know it's a motor expression, you want to learn more about it. In any event, I recommend to you as a starting point, get familiar with the tool itself. Start to learn what's included in it as just kind of looking through it before anything else. Couple things that you might have already noticed. The nice thing about this document, or this resource, I should say, is that it's actually fashioned with the BSO DOS in mind. So thinking about some of the categories we just listed, so thinking about vocal expressions, motor expressions, sexual expressions, verbal expressions, physical expressions, right? If you and your team are working on a BSO DOS and you are noticing, you know what, we're getting a lot of number four, then very quickly you can reference this table of contents, find that number 4 motor expressions and say, okay, let me take a look at, number 3, let me take a look at vocal expressions and let me take a look at the pages that correlate. And so these actually are meant to work together to help support you in finding some of those things to think about by using both your DOS in tandem or with the complement of the clues, cues, and causes to consider. So just wanted to point that out. Your efforts will be kind of a combination effort. You can use your data collection from the DOS to inform some of the ways that you're going to look for information and look for support in the clues, causes, and care resource. So let's move on. I just wanted to move through some of the subheadings with you all and just show you a little bit of what is included in each of these categories. So very simply, each category in your document, and if you have your own documents, you're welcome to pull it up on the side and follow me as we go along. But what you'll notice is that each category is broken into what is that going to be about. So we've got vocal expressions broken into asking questions, repeating words, requests, crying, grunting, so on and so forth. A new category for motor expressions, and all the different subcategories that fall underneath it. So disrobing, fidgeting, pacing, whatever the case might be, falling underneath it. We've got sexual expressions of risk, and again, all the subcategories that fall underneath it. And finally, verbal expressions and physical expressions with the same idea. So what are some of the things that we know might be falling in that category? So swearing, threatening, under verbal expressions of risk, under physical, thinking about things like punching, pushing, scratching, and so on. But this document is going to actually do you one even better, because not only is it going to help you identify some of the different responsive behaviors you're encountering, it's also going to categorize the possible contributing factors using the PIECES of pieces. This is really important because it's going to help you start to think about the different PIECES that could be contributing. It's also going to help you start thinking about what are some approaches or strategies that you might like to consider that are relevant to each of your PIECES for all of your different categories. So yes, it's a fulsome, very detailed, very fulsome resource, but it's answering and supporting you with some of those options that, not for any other reason, but sometimes they're right under our nose, right? It's not something that you might never have thought of, but perhaps it can be helpful to have that little prompt of, have you considered the I for this possible situation? Have you considered the C of this possible situation? And it's another example of how a lot of the things you've already taken, so if you've already taken pieces, are familiar with pieces, is built back into a resource that is meant to support you in your detective work around what the responsive behavior could be caused by or what's contributing to it, but also what are some of those approaches and strategies you can consider. So again, PIECES, just like we have in pieces. Another area that I really wanted to focus on is sometimes in the event that there is a situation that has now exceeded what we could have done to pre-plan for it or plan in advance of it, we're now in a situation where we're in the moment. And in the moment, perhaps we are thinking about, okay, if this does come to the point where this responsive behavior has come to a point now where in the moment we have to do something, this resource has got you covered because it also has some options of, if you're in the thick of it, in this exact moment, under all the different categories, it gives you a couple of options of, okay, if you're in the moment, if you're in the thick of it, let's consider what are some of the things that you can do. So assess the risk in the room, recognize some of those, what could be the contributing factors, but then furthermore, a couple things as simple as just trying to stay calm, maintaining a boundary or a physical boundary, a reminder to use the person's name, ensure different steps that you and your teams can take to respond in that very moment. They're also within this resource. So it is laid out to also support not just in the prevention, which is very important. And we want to do a lot of that preventative, searching for the meaning behind the behavior, thinking about all the contributing factors, but also in that exact moment, if there is, something, what are some things that we can do in that exact moment and to help support staff that perhaps are in the moment and having to now respond, and some things that people can do in their response that are supportive. So I encourage you to take a look at all those because they're in that. Finally, the last section I want to talk about before we move into an activity and actually use the tool, which is really important, is the personal care section. As we know, a lot of the responsive behaviors that we're oftentimes supporting our team members with are happening during personal care. Now, it is fair to say that oftentimes a lot of the contributing factors could and will fall into some of the other categories, like, for example, feeling cold under physical, or being embarrassed or something along those lines. But what this resource actually does is it also helps support with some specific and immediate strategies that fall specifically under personal care. So a little bit of planning prior to personal care. So some tips and things to remember when we are planning in advance of personal care. So anything from example to gathering personal care, personhood, gathering information on trauma, gathering and understanding the person's personal care plan, having activities that they enjoy perhaps before or after care, things along those lines, how to prepare the environment to keep it warm and to keep it welcoming and to keep it pleasant, to keep it home-like, things and ideas that are in advance of personal care, but also things to consider during personal care, right? So when we are actually doing personal care with people, what are some things just to remember, right? So couple of approach strategies, couple of rapport building strategies, couple of reminders on, using step-by-step action, informing people step by step, encouraging people to participate meaningfully in their care, using conversation. Again, these are not necessarily completely far-fetched or new types of ideas, but they're helpful reminders for us, and they live in this resource so that you can reference it and say, oh, you know what? We should try a little bit more of that. We should do a little bit more of that. So it's not to say that people are not or cannot, and these are not ideas that you already have, but they serve as good reminders of, oh, you know what? Maybe we could offer them a little bit of rest, for example, during their personal care. Maybe we haven't tried that fully. Let's try that this time. Or maybe we haven't tried giving someone a soft blanket while we're doing, care or something to hold. Let's try that. So again, it serves as a helpful prompt of some options for you to use both before care and after care. In terms of the breakdown of the entirety of the resource, again, what you're going to notice is that there is some overlap, meaning some of the relevant contributing factors and some of the interventions may fall into more than one category. That's okay. It just means that some of the strategies could be similar from section to section. But again, look out for what exactly you're looking for, followed by the area you can find it, as well as the personal care section to really help you with some of those ideas for before and during care. Let me take a little pause here because now we're going to move into actually the application of the tool. And I just want to make sure we're feeling good so far with navigating and perusing the tool itself. Is everyone feeling comfortable? For those of you that were able to access it, do you have a copy as of right now? I can't see everyone, so I'm going to have to rely on the chat box and anyone who perhaps would like to be brave and come off camera and just, I know, Helena, you had spoken to me, so don't worry, I have you in my mind.
Oh, hi. Actually, I was able to download.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm so happy to hear that.
Brianna actually shared
Oh,
with
thank
me.
you,
Thank you
Brianna.
so much, Brianna. So I'm okay. Thank you so much.
Perfect. I appreciate that. I'm so happy to see that. Okay, so we're ready to rock and roll now. Now we can actually use the tool. I did a lot of talking. It was mostly so that you're feeling comfortable and ready to go for this next section, okay? Because now we're going to leave the all about the tool and more into let's use the tool, let's use it together. And so we're going to do a little bit of an activity to do this. So give me just 1 second again. Gonna get us up. Okay, here we go. So we are going to practice using the tool together. We're gonna do one together and then we're gonna do one in a little bit kind of more solo. But for right now, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna read you this little case study and then I'm gonna open up a Mentimeter in just a second. But before we do anything else, let's just meet Mr. M. So this is Mr. M's story. Mr. M has been randomly removing his clothes in all areas, including common areas and in front of others. After disrobing, Mr. M sits down and enjoys watching TV or reading. He does not redress himself he does not redress himself when directed to, and often becomes verbally responsive. He yells no if team members continue directing him to put on his clothes. Team members insist he is simply being rude and inappropriate. You are a BSO team member, or really whatever your role is, who is investigating Mr. M's behavioral expressions and supporting with his care plan. Let's use the clues, causes, and cares to consider for responsive behaviors. So before anything else, and I might need a little bit of help because I can't see the chat box, but as a starting point, what do you think would be the responsive behavior that we would be using the clues, causes, and care to consider? What of this case study would we be looking to direct us to the section that we are going to be perhaps finding the most of our content on? What do you think it is in this case study? What specifically, what might we be interested in looking at? I can't tell, maybe.
Chat is saying disrobing. Or it says
Perfect.
page 40 and then Ben disrobing, motor expression, disrobing.
Wow, excellent. Okay, so perfect. That is exactly what I was looking for. Thank you, Kara. Someone even went a step ahead and was actually a step ahead, which is excellent because that was my next question. So as a starting point, we know that he's removing his clothes. And so that's going to tell us, okay, I'm interested in disrobing. So here is the next part. Someone I think already found it, but can you just repeat where are we going to locate disrobing? Someone said it. Can someone say it again?
Page 40.
Page 40. Perfect. So it might be, if you're looking at it virtually, it could be page 43 in PDF, but page 40 in the version. Excellent. So we know first and foremost, we're looking for disrobing. Yeah, page 40. Excellent. Now, here's the part that we're going to work on together. We are going to be using, check this out, PIECES to consider disrobing for Mr. M. And what I'm going to have us actually do, you don't have to say anything yet. I'm going to prop up a Mentimeter in just a second. And you all are going to be responsible. You don't have to do every single one, but just to get a feel for using this, I'd like for us to grab, there's going to be 2 questions. I'll show them to you in a second. You're going to use this, page 41, 42, 43, so on and so forth, to help think about some of the possible contributing factors for Mr. M. So let me just get that going. And then similarly, I'd like you to consider some of the possible interventions for Mr. M as well. So again, you're going to be, I don't want to give away too much, but I want you to use your clues, cues, and causes to start thinking about Mr. M in terms of possible contributing factors. Then I'd like you to think about using the tool, the pages that are relevant, to what could be some interventions that we might like to consider. Does that sound like it makes sense in terms of the activity itself? Okay, I see nodding. Thank you, Ben. Let me put it up on a Mentimeter just now. If you're not familiar with Mentimeter, just note it's not it's a private tool, so I'm not going to be able to tell who is saying what. I'm only going to be able to tell how many people are answering in total. The only time that we might be able to see is if you're logged in or if you add your name. Otherwise, please note it is fairly anonymous. So don't worry about that if you have any concerns around that. The way it's going to show up for you, I'm going to put this in the chat box just now. You're going to see the link for the chat box in just a second. Alternatively, you can use the code, which will be www.menti.com with code 56923252. And then let me go ahead and share this, and it'll go in the chat box just now. Okay, it's in the chat box or menti.com 56923252. Pretty easy code today. All right, so I will let you all, I see that there's about 18 people that have already joined, so thank you for that. That number will continue to grow as more people start joining in. But for right now, use the resource to locate both let's start off with the possible contributing factors. So take a few minutes right now. Perfect. I see some answers coming in already. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So let's start putting in some possible contributing factors. And again, as much as I know some of this is going to be things that you are already probably thinking about, do just for the sake of this exercise, do just try to use the resource so you can get a hang of it. But absolutely in future, you will also have your own discretion and your own possible critical kind of thinking. But just for the purposes of today, try to use the resource to help jog your minds on what are some possible options. And then I will take a look. And you all can take a look too, so you can see what your peers are also using. I also want to note how quickly that within a few seconds, we already have so many options that we can think about. I think that's fantastic, which means that for Mr. M, you might already be thinking that some of his responsive behavior has a lot less to do with him just being, what was it, rude and inappropriate, and more to do with a lot of these other options. Let's take a look. So we've got a lot on overheating or feeling hot. We've got a lot on discomfort, maybe need to use the bathroom. We've got a couple deliriums, couple concerns around skin, shingles, neuropathic pain. Again, we see a lot around clothing, maybe again, the washroom, feeling hot, lack of awareness around the environment. So we're starting to get a little bit in our eyes as well, right? That's excellent. Hallucinations, perhaps illusions. Okay. Maybe he's incontinent. Okay. Clothing may be itchy for him. Excellent. So we're getting a lot of possible options here. Uncomfortable, which means that we are starting to think outside of just, oh, well, he's being, as in the case study, obviously purposely says he's just being like that because he wants to be, or he's being rude. Now we have a couple different options. Oh, here we go. A couple other ones coming up. Some other pain, discomfort, again, environments being very hot or the temperature in the room. Underlying causes, increased confusion, possible delirium. Excellent. Lots of really great options here. I'll give it a couple more seconds. Challenging interpreting social cues. Yeah, very interesting. We haven't gotten something along those lines just yet. So yes, is it possible that some of this is less to do with anything with the fact that he is not making sense of maybe the environment and is disrobing because that's he's not really sure that it's not a problem or that other people think it's a problem. Sure. Unaware of his own limitations. Okay. Okay, good. Let's flip to just a second here. I'm going to go to the next. Again, I just wanted to point out, at risk of sounding like the broken record, I just want to point out how quickly, just by a quick reference with this resource, you were able to come up with so many contributing factors. As Pieces says, leaving no stone unturned and really starting to think about all the different possibilities that could be contributing to Mr. M's responsive behavior. So thank you. Let's switch gears now. Same idea this time. Let's think about what are some possible approaches and strategies. So same idea. Let's think about what is it that we could try doing. And that might be contingent on what you think some of the justification or some of the possible contributing factors are. But again, just to get a hang of using the resource, what could be some of the approaches and strategies we might consider for Mr. M? Okay, toileting routine. Yeah, just asking him, like, what's bothering you? Excellent. Supporting autonomy. Wonderful. Using the DOS. Meaningful engagement, if there is a way that we can catch him during those times, engage him. Excellent. Maybe the environmental clues themselves to cue him in the environment. Good. Give him choices of what he might like to wear. Excellent. I see huddle with staff, past history, medication review, asking questions, skin assessment. Excellent. Yeah, fantastic. Bowel routine, toileting routine I see as well. Good. Very, very good. Lots of options on some possible strategies and ideas that we can try. using multisensory items to simulate the resident. Okay, check his chart for medical causes. Good, good. Going back to those basics, right? Like, who is this person? Why could this be happening? And have we checked if there is a medical reason we're seeing this? Good. Adjust language possibly to promote understanding. Use the BSO DOS to identify patterns. Excellent. So lots of really, really good ideas on board. Review past lifestyle. Good. That's actually very important. Maybe, and who is to tell us that this gentleman might not have been relatively disrobed in the comfort of his own home prior to, right? We don't know. So maybe that is something that we can inquire on. So good question there. Okay. Perfect. I'm gonna stop here. Thank you for participating in this. We have one more coming up. So if you had some thoughts and you didn't get them out, I promise you'll have another opportunity in just a second. But thank you for participating in this. Thank you for trying out your hand with the resource. And I hope you'll find it to be a helpful resource outside of just here and now. Okay. Let's go back into the, sorry, that's not what I wanted to show you. In fact, actually, you know what? This was a serendipitous mistake, perhaps. I just wanted to show you if and when you do download it, for those of you, I think now everyone should be getting a copy of it. This is what it looks like. Yes, quite a lengthy document. So it is a bit of a long document, but I hope you're finding that it could be and it can be a very helpful resource, especially if you are sometimes you've been at something for a long time, and sometimes when you're staring at something for long enough and you kind of look away and you look at it again, now you have a new idea. This is kind of what I feel about this resource sometimes. Some of these are not so new in terms of concepts, but they're nice reminders of what else we can look into, what else we can try, what haven't we perhaps considered. So just definitely think of it as a supplement to some of your already fantastic critical analysis of the situation. Okay, let's go back into the presentation now. Sorry about that. Okay, so here we were still on Mr. M, and we were just finishing up the questions. Okay. So this time we're going to run this a little bit differently. It's still going to be the same idea. We're going to use a different case study this time. And so here are a little bit of the instructions. You're going to see Mrs. K's case study in just a second. You're going to be doing something very similar by using the resource itself to start thinking about contributing causes and relevant interventions. Have your clues, causes, and care handy. To make this easier, I've actually already put the case study into the Padlet, which I'll show you in a second. And following this activity, we'll do something similar. We will debrief it. If we have some, I don't think we're going to have too much extra time, but if we do have some extra time at the end and you want to try your hand at another one, we can see at that point. But for right now, let's just do Mrs. K. I think that for the purposes of today, we'll do this independently using the Padlet as opposed into multiple little groups. If there's a different idea, we can do that. But I think having done this a couple times, it does work out nicely to do it that way, and it gives you kind of an opportunity to peruse the document on your own discretion, your own time. So we'll try it that way. If you do have a buddy in the room or something like that you want to work together, that's perfectly fine. But this is meant to give you an opportunity to try your hand at using it, so then you can use it in future outside of the form of this presentation today. So let's meet Mrs. K. Mrs. K is an 88-year-old woman living with dementia. During personal care activities such as dressing, she begins to cry, appears fearful, whines softly, grunts, and repeatedly says, "Please don't, please don't." She becomes increasingly distressed by grunting and moaning. So you're going to be looking at possible contributing factors. I want the resource page that supported you as well, more so just for you to practice, just to kind of figure out, okay, where might I find this in future? Looking at possible approaches and strategies to consider, again, what resource page that supported you. But then additionally, even though the intention is to use the resource, I want to know from you, what else perhaps did you consider? Is there anything from the resource that you found additionally helpful, or was there anything else that you noted and that you considered on your own? So I will leave that up to you. I have prepared this a little bit differently for you. This is going to be via a product called Padlet. I'm opening it right now, and I'm going to give you all the chat box right now. Again, Padlet is very, very similar to Menti, but a little bit perhaps, in this case, a little bit prettier. So on the far left to support you, you still have the case study. You will see it as soon as I give you this, the link, you're going to see this. From left to right, you're going to see the questions that you're going to be using your resource to answer. Underneath them, you're going to see this little plus button. Every time you're interested in adding a subheading or an answer, you can just write whatever you like here, and it's going to pop up. Now, similar with the Menti, if you have an account as I do, it will show up with your name. However, if you're not logged on with your account, if you're just not worried that your name is going to pop up there, then don't worry about it. But I do want to tell you, and I want to inform you that if you do and are on your account or signed in, it will show up. Okay, that's all I wanted to let you all know. With
Lenny
that
is
said,
doing a time check in about 10 minutes. Laura
That's-
Pettis should be joining for VBM.
excellent. That actually works out perfectly. So I'm happy. Thank you for that, Kara. I appreciate the quick time check, and let's rock and roll one more time here, everybody. Let's take maybe 7 minutes to just use this activity. As soon as I put that in the chat box, please go ahead and click on it and start working at it. Again, the case study is there, so you will find that you have access to it even without looking at the PowerPoint, at the actual PowerPoint. And I already see people typing, so I think that you all are already on and already doing this. So thank you for that. Thank you for your participation. I'll stop talking and I will let you all put some answers in there. Just a really funny fact about Padlet, it gives you the most funny names. So you might see things like mysterious otter or like funny hedgehog. It's just the way that it categorizes it to keep it anonymous. So that probably is you if you see yourself pop up like that. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm going to keep an eye open for some of your responses. Thank you. And for the purposes of time, after every few minutes, I'll just debrief as we go along. That way we move through this a little bit quicker. So I'm seeing some things around pain, some history of abuse is coming up. Again, history of abuse, distress when other people are in personal space or touching personal items. So a lot of you are already querying possible history of abuse. I think that's a really important point. So thank you for already thinking from that lens. Possible approaches, things around therapeutic trusting relationship, using comforting items, excellent. Reassure for safety, comfort, and pain. Okay, excellent. So trauma, really important part of a lot of what you all are thinking. I think that's a really interesting point and good starting point to think about what you might need to look into if this was someone that you were supporting. Privacy, pain, trauma, again, lack of insight into needing help or current situation. Sure, maybe that's why she's not allowing support. Yeah, the anosognosia piece, good. Fear, anxiety, previous trauma, again, perhaps depression, something that you might like to query. Pain and discomfort. Okay, excellent. Okay, I start seeing some personal care strategies that you all are thinking about. So I see two-person approaches coming up. That's excellent.
Just in the chat
Okay.
box in case you're missing it. Post-traumatic history of physical abuse and pain. We're also listed.
Excellent. Thank you. I definitely missed it. I can't, I don't know why you can't see it when you're in this mode, but I don't see it. So thank you for that. Yeah, I think you all are thinking, and it's actually very interesting. Trauma-informed care, and thinking from a trauma-informed care lens is something that I know we've learned about before in this exact forum. So I'm glad that you're applying some of that thinking here as well, because I think it's a really good starting point and something to think about and consider. So yes, thank you for that. Pain and discomfort, of course, I see as well. Lots of concerns around trauma. Okay, so maybe thinking now about the PSW or whoever's supporting them themselves and how they might be perceiving that person. Excellent.
In the chat,
Okay,
says
Kara.
probably no male PSW.
Yeah, yeah, I see here as well. So absolutely, I think that's something to consider and maybe something that you might like to dig deeper into and see if that might be something that would work for the person that we're supporting here. So thank you. I'm seeing some question around whether or not pain medication is being given or if it can be given prior to care. I suppose some of you are starting to think maybe some of those responses are the result of pain, and can we do something to support her before we do care, for example. Okay, tailoring communication to the individual using gestures, written aids, wear a name tag, introduce yourself. Great. And some of those ones I recall from the resource as well. So excellent work in finding some of those. Explain what we would do before care. Good. Thinking about the pre-care, pulling the curtains, covering. Good, good. Validation, excellent. Validation, explaining who you are, telling the person they're safe, reassurance. You all are doing really great and very fast, so thank you. Providing a meaningful reason for care, good. Perhaps a preference for a female PSW in this case. BSOT referral or referral to PRC. Yeah, excellent. Leverage your team. Perhaps you can get, so in addition to what some of the resource is pointing you to think about, also thinking about, do we need a referral, for example, to PRC in my case, as an example, to support with education as to why this might be happening, why we might be seeing what we might be seeing, and what we can do about it. I think that's a wonderful idea and a great in addition to. Encouraging family involvement, good. Okay, I'm just going to skip over to this last section for the purposes of time, thinking about some things you considered. Ask for permission, make sure environment is warm, good. Ensuring plan of care is very person-centered, adapting assignment where possible, asking family if there's a possible history of abuse, asking her how she would like her care completed if we can. Personhood summary, excellent, and speaking to family. Okay. I feel really bad because I can see you all are still typing. I from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate that. Thank you for actually doing the activity and trying your hand at it. For the purposes of time, I do have to kind of shut this down for now, but the Padlet will remain open even after I stop sharing. So if you want to get those last thoughts off, you can definitely put them in there, but I will have to stop sharing in just a second here. Just wanted to let you all know because I know you're working at that, okay? But I will stop sharing, but they will still live on in the Padlet. Okay, Kara, I think I have exactly 3 minutes and then I'm turning it right over. So there we go. I only have a final couple slides to just finish off here, and then that will be it for me. So a lot of you for Mrs. K were probably picking up on concerns around personal care activities, and you were probably problem solving around crying, appearing tearful, whining softly, grunting, and the please don't. So a lot of what you all were working on were in reference to thinking about personal care specifically, as well as why might we be seeing some of that tearfulness, some of that whining, some of that grunting, and the please don't, which is why I think a lot of you were thinking about trauma and pain as well. So really great work in, first of all, deciphering the case study. Sometimes it's actually trying to make sense of what is the question. I think you all did that beautifully. And I think you started to consider things that were a multitude of contributing factors from physical all the way down to the social. So I appreciate that you did that so fulsomely. So on my end, I'm gonna wrap up there so I give everyone else an opportunity to do their part as well. But Thank you all for your time today. I hope that this resource will be a benefit to you in the future and in the roles that you do. Don't forget that a lot of these tools are meant to be used as complementary tools. So you might find that you are going to be able to use them together. Like the DOS might be able to be used with this. A lot of the information that you're going to pull using this can go into your BSA and so on. And just as I was saying, I think I see Marilyn. Go ahead. Marilyn?
Oh, I did that by mistake. I was trying to go clap.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Sign of
Um,
appreciation, not a question.
Oh, thank you
Sorry
so
about
much,
that.
Marilyn. Excellent. And I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, thanks for that. Already I download and I share with my team. I have one
Excellent.
copy with myself. I have my copy with for each unit and also with a nurse manager.
Good.
But what you did today is amazing because it helps me how to use it very simply. And thanks for that.
You're so welcome. I'm glad that it worked out that way. So thank you for your compliment. I appreciate that. Excellent. So on my behalf, thank you. I will turn the floor over. You're most welcome. It's my pleasure. And yeah, I appreciate you all doing the activity and actually trying your hand at it. So thank you. Kara, back to you. And that is it for me.
Thank you so much, Lenny, and right on time. So we're going to switch gears before I pass things over to the VBM folks. Just a quick update. So first of all, happy Pride Month for June. The other thing to mention is our July BSO education will be canceled because a lot of people are on summer vacation. Stay tuned for other education that's going to be coming down for the rest of the year. We have on line right now, I think I saw Laura Petta. Laura, is Andrea joining as well, or just you? Oh, there's
I'm here
Andrea.
too.
So we have
Hi.
Laura
Yep.
and Petta, the clinician leaders for Baycrest Virtual Behavioral Medicine team that will be speaking a little bit more about VBM. Just quickly to mention, I know there's about 10 or so long-term care homes that have not used VBM. So hopefully today's session will be informative. I know that it is a valuable program for all clients, but also we are in the midst of planning an open house for VBM. So stay tuned for details on that. And that's something that myself and the BSO Coordinating Office and VBM will work to develop, and hopefully we'll get that in the next couple of months. So I've rambled again long enough. Laura, Andrea, the floor is yours.
Okay, great. So Andrea, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Oh, hi. I'll just go really quick. Hi, my name's Andrea. I might have met some of you, but others I don't recognize your name. So it's a real pleasure to meet you. I work with Laura as one of the clinician leaders, and we support, I think, 5 different doctors' clinics in total. So Laura works with a couple of the doctors. I work with the others, so we might cross paths. I'm an OT by background, and it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks. Yeah, so we have 2 clinician leaders now in the virtual behavioral medicine program at Baycrest. I've been with the program now since 2023, and the program is growing, has evolved. We've recently signed on a couple of new doctors, and so we really wanted Andrea to join as well in order to meet everybody's needs the best way possible. I look forward to meeting some of you here today. I know there's a lot of new faces and new names since I used to join through the Alzheimer's Society of Toronto when working with the Caregiver Specialist Program. So please feel free to tap us if you have any questions after this. I thought we'd start with a little Menti pool, and I had Andrea practice with me. So I'm going to share my screen here. So just a few
You're
questions.
as techie as Helena was, so hope this works.
What does VBM stand for? So the Menti pool number is in the top here. Please feel free to join. Andrea might have tricked you with this answer. I don't know.
If people have a chance to go to the code there, I'll just put it in the chat for us. If that helps, 216.
On the screen, wasn't it?
656. Yeah, it's up at the top. But if you go to menti.com
Okay.
and then type in the code, it should take you to the questions.
It's short and sweet, but I think it's fun.
I got the same response, Ben. It's timed out for us for some reason.
Oh, you gotta
Oh,
be careful.
no.
Okay, here. Hang on, hang on. Let's see what happened here. Well, you might have to hear us drone on instead. Hold on, let me see what I can do.
When in doubt, you can always answer in the chat as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's no problem. Hang on though. Here, I thought I was being smart by leaving it up when we created it. All right. Let's try this again, and there should be a, okay, can everybody see this?
Yes, we can.
Okay, are you able to join now?
No, it's saying the same
Same
thing.
No,
error.
same error.
Oh,
Yep.
no. Okay, we might have to pivot, Laura. We don't.
I
You can
think
just
we
use,
got
use the
Answers in
chat
the chat though.
box.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's what we'll do. Good idea. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing. And 1 second. Okay. We're back here. Okay, so now what does VBM stand for? Let's try that.
So in the chat box, a lot of people said virtual behavioral medicine.
Good. I've heard virtual behavioral management. So I thought that we would start off there first and make sure that we all have the same, know what the name of the program is.
Very big management.
Okay, let's move on. When was VBM created? Before COVID, during COVID, after COVID?
During
Andrea?
COVID. I'm just reading out some answers. During COVID, before, during, before. So maybe Laura, you can share the answer.
So the answer is before COVID, as Dr. Friedman proudly reports. He and Yuri Wolf, a Jerry psychiatrist here at Baycrest, sometime in 2020, created this February of 2020. Now, COVID was a great facilitator, as most of you know, and that's when a lot of appointments went virtual and really helped VBM grow. Okay, next question. What age must you be to participate in Baycrest VBM? 65 plus, under 65, any age.
So we're seeing some 65 and ups, over 50, 65, any age. Any age. Laura, what's the answer?
Any age. In VBM, sadly, we have had somebody as young as 19 and as elderly as 104. So as long as the person meets our eligibility criteria, the age for Baycrest VBM does not matter. At TRI, they like to see people who are over 65, but will make exception on a case-by-case basis. Excuse me.
We've had a quick question here. Can you be admitted to a CAS bed though at any age? I'm guessing that's the question. And the answer is yes.
Well, no.
That's the question. I just want to make sure that was the question.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
at Baycrest at TRI, they want to they'll do case by case basis under 65, and for our 4 West unit, they'll do case by case basis under 55, but typically it's 55 and above. That's the range. Okay, moving on to the next one. Does a patient need a dementia diagnosis to participate in VBM?
So we're seeing yes, no, no, yes. I think we're seeing a mix of answers here.
Okay, so here's the thing. We will accept people in VBM definitely with a dementia diagnosis as long as they meet the other criteria, or strongly suspected dementia. So to illustrate that, it's a good idea to have an MMSE, a MOCA, also to complete a DOS or a show us what the decline has been, if it's been a gradual decline, a rapid decline, demonstrate for us what IADLs the person is able to complete. Pardon me, if they've never been able to complete any activities of daily living, that's a good flag for us. So these are all ways that we can see someone who might not actually have a formal diagnosis of dementia. Okay, who can refer to VBM? MRP, which would be a physician/nurse practitioner, any allied health, or a family member.
So what do people think as far as this question? Who can make the referral?
Losing steam at 3 o'clock here, I'm sorry.
Think
Good
some
advice.
answers of MRPs or nurse practitioners. Yes, yes. Allied health. So we're seeing mostly answers are MDs or NPs.
Okay, perfect, correct. So yes, the referral form needs to be completed and signed by the MRP. So that's an important piece. If there's delays in doing that, there's delays in us seeing you and your team. Okay. Do you need to exhaust local resources before referring to VBM?
Yes, yes.
So local resources, I mean BSO and GMON. And so basically, if we find out that there's a long wait list for either of those resources, you can still have the physician or nurse practitioner make the referral. However, when they do become engaged, let them know that we're seeing them in VBM, because we also want only one physician making recommendations to the team. Okay, I'm going to wrap up here, but first I want to highlight one more point. Do POAs or SDMs have to give consent for VBM?
Seeing lots of yeses.
You're right. So yes, they need to be agreeable to the power of attorney for healthcare needs to be agreeable for utilizing medications. Medications for care for treating the behaviors related to dementia. Okay, so that's a very quick quiz. We just wanted to see where your learning was at. Unfortunately, it was really not long enough to get into the meat and potatoes, but hopefully Kara will invite us back another time to go further for those. And if any of you are interested in VBM, we'll put our emails in the chat here, and you're most welcome to reach out with any questions you might have. I think Kara left, did she?
Looks like she had to go, yeah.
Okay, so thank you all. I hope you have a great day, and let's get our emails in here for you. I'm lpetta@bigcrest.org. And Andrea, do you want to put yours in there? Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
You did all right. And there's the VBM website there, where we have a really great e-learning for caregivers. And I would recommend if someone's on the fence about giving consent for medication changes through VBM, you might want to have them watch the e-learning for caregivers. It's been very helpful to many of our families who have participated in the program. Okay, thank you all. Bye for now.